Hello everyone, and welcome back to English Box, Easy English with Julia and Tom, where we help you speak English more naturally and confidently every day. I'm Julia.
Hi everyone, I'm Tom, and today's lesson is a very practical one.
Yes, today we'll help you sound more confident and more professional in meetings.
Because, let's be honest, many people have great ideas, but when they speak, it sounds like they're asking for permission. You might hear things like, "I might be wrong," or "maybe we can," and suddenly your strong idea doesn't sound so strong anymore.
It's like your idea walks into the meeting confidently and then quietly sits in the corner.
Exactly. We don't want that. We want your ideas to walk in like they own the room. So today, we'll give you simple but powerful sentences and show you how to use them in real situations. You'll practice more than 100 sentences that you can start using at work right away.
And before we begin, if you enjoy learning English through calm, natural conversations like this, please like this episode and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us keep creating more practical lessons for you.
We'll speak slowly, and to make this lesson more effective, we'll repeat each sentence several times so you can get familiar with it. You can shadow us or pause and practice any sentence you find useful for your next meeting. Small steps, repeated consistently, can create a big impact.
You can practice by speaking out loud, or silently in your head, or just play this video again in the background. Repeat it a few times until it feels natural, so in real meetings, you can respond without overthinking. All right, let's get started. First, let's start with how to open your idea clearly. Let's get straight to the point. Let's get straight to the point. Let's get straight to the point. This is perfect when you want to sound direct and respectful of time. Example, let's get straight to the point. This project will increase sales by 20%. Let's get straight to the point. We're behind schedule. Let's get straight to the point. We need to revisit the scope.
Next, here's how I see it. Here's how I see it. Here's how I see it. This sounds confident, but still polite. Example, here's how I see it. This is a long-term investment. Here's how I see it. We need better alignment. Here's how I see it. This plan can help us grow faster.
Let me walk you through this clearly. Let me walk you through this clearly. Let me walk you through this clearly. Use this when you want to guide people step by step. Example, let me walk you through this clearly. First, we review the data. Let me walk you through this clearly. Here's how the process works. Let me walk you through this clearly. I'll explain each stage.
I'll focus on what really matters. I'll focus on what really matters. I'll focus on what really matters. Great when you want to keep things simple and relevant. Example, I'll focus on what really matters. Customer growth. I'll focus on what really matters. Improving quality. I'll focus on what really matters. Meeting the deadline.
Let's look at this from a practical angle. Let's look at this from a practical angle. Let's look at this from a practical angle. Use this to bring the discussion back to reality. Example, let's look at this from a practical angle. What can we do today? Let's look at this from a practical angle. What is realistic? Let's look at this from a practical angle. What gives results?
I'll keep this concise and focused. I'll keep this concise and focused. I'll keep this concise and focused. Perfect when you want to respect everyone's time. Example, I'll keep this concise and focused. 3 key updates. I'll keep this concise and focused. Just the main points.
Let's align on the objective first. Let's align on the objective first. Let's align on the objective first. Use this to make sure everyone agrees on the goal. Example, let's align on the objective first. What are we trying to achieve? Let's align on the objective first. What is success here? Let's align on the objective first. What is the priority?
Here's the key issue we need to address. Here's the key issue we need to address. Here's the key issue we need to address. This helps you sound clear and decisive. Example, here's the key issue we need to address. Low conversion rate. Here's the key issue we need to address. Customer complaints. Here's the key issue we need to address. Delayed delivery.
Now let's move on to how to structure your ideas clearly. There are 3 key points here. There are 3 key points here. There are 3 key points here. Use this to organize your message. Example, there are 3 key points here: cost, time, and quality.
The first thing to highlight is. The first thing to highlight is. The first thing to highlight is. Example, the first thing to highlight is customer feedback. The first thing to highlight is performance. The first thing to highlight is cost.
What really matters here is. What really matters here is. What really matters here is. Use this to focus on the most important idea. Example, what really matters here is user experience. What really matters here is speed. What really matters here is quality.
The core issue is. The core issue is. The core issue is. Use this when you want to be direct. Example, the core issue is poor communication. The core issue is unclear goals. The core issue is lack of resources.
This comes down to. This comes down to. This comes down to. Great for simplifying complex ideas. Example, this comes down to time management. This comes down to planning.
The main driver behind this is. The main driver behind this is. The main driver behind this is. Use this to explain causes. Example, the main driver behind this is customer demand. The main driver behind this is pricing.
If we break it down, if we break it down, if we break it down, use this to explain step by step. Example, if we break it down, we have 3 tasks. If we break it down, here's the process. What's important to note is that. What's important to note is that. What's important to note is that. Use this to highlight key details. Example, what's important to note is that costs are rising. What's important to note is that demand is stable. What's important to note is that timing is critical. Now let's move on to how to share deeper ideas, insight, and analysis.
This is where you sound more strategic and thoughtful.
What we're seeing in the market is. What we're seeing in the market is. What we're seeing in the market is. This is useful when you talk about trends or changes. Example, what we're seeing in the market is a shift toward online shopping. What we're seeing in the market is increased competition. What we're seeing in the market is customer demand for faster service.
There's a clear trend here. There's a clear trend here. There's a clear trend here. Use this when something is obvious from data or experience. Example, there's a clear trend here. More users are using mobile apps. There's a clear trend here. Sales increase at the end of the year. There's a clear trend here. Customers prefer simple solutions.
This tells us that. This tells us that. This tells us that. Great for explaining what something means. Example, this tells us that customers value convenience. This tells us that our strategy is working. This tells us that we need to improve quality.
The data clearly shows that. The data clearly shows that. The data clearly shows that. Use this when you want to sound factual and confident. Example, the data clearly shows that sales have increased. The data clearly shows that engagement is low. The data clearly shows that users prefer this feature.
What stands out is. What stands out is. What stands out is. This helps highlight the most important point. What stands out is the strong customer feedback. What stands out is how quickly the team adapted. What stands out is the drop in performance.
This highlights an issue. This highlights an issue. This highlights an issue. Use this to draw attention to an important issue. Example, this highlights an issue with our process. This highlights an issue in communication. This highlights an issue in customer experience.
This is consistent with what we've seen before. This is consistent with what we've seen before. This is consistent with what we've seen before. Good for showing patterns over time. This is consistent with what we've seen before in past campaigns. This is consistent with what we've seen before in user behavior. This is consistent with what we've seen before in the market.
The implication here is. The implication here is. The implication here is. This sounds very professional, great for conclusions. The implication here is we need to act quickly. The implication here is we may lose market share. The implication here is we should change direction.
One interesting observation is that. One interesting observation is that. One interesting observation is that. This helps introduce insights in a natural way. One interesting observation is that users spend more time at night. One interesting observation is that sales increase after promotions. One interesting observation is that customers prefer simple design. Now let's move on to suggestions and action. I recommend we focus on this direction. I recommend we focus on this direction. I recommend we focus on this direction. Use this when giving a strong recommendation. Example: I recommend we focus on this direction to improve growth. I recommend we focus on this direction for better results. I recommend we focus on this direction moving forward.
We should prioritize this. We should prioritize this. We should prioritize this. Example: we should prioritize this task first. We should prioritize customer feedback. We should prioritize this project this quarter.
The best approach here is to. The best approach here is to. The best approach here is to. Use this to suggest a solution. Example: the best approach here is to simplify the process. The best approach here is to focus on quality. The best approach here is to test before launching.
We need to shift our focus to. We need to shift our focus to. We need to shift our focus to. Example: we need to shift our focus to customer experience. We need to shift our focus to long-term growth. We need to shift our focus to efficiency.
This is where we should invest our effort. This is where we should invest our effort. This is where we should invest our effort. Example: this is where we should invest our effort this year. This is where we should invest our effort for better results. This is where we should invest our effort moving forward.
I strongly believe this will drive results. I strongly believe this will drive results. I strongly believe this will drive results. I strongly believe this will drive results quickly. I strongly believe this will drive results in the long term. I strongly believe this will drive results for the team.
This is the most effective way forward. This is the most effective way forward. This is the most effective way forward. This is the most effective way forward for growth. This is the most effective way forward for the project. This is the most effective way forward right now.
We should move quickly on this. We should move quickly on this. We should move quickly on this. We should move quickly on this opportunity. We should move quickly on this decision. We should move quickly on this plan.
Now, let's move on to how to express different ideas or disagreement in a polite and professional way. The goal is not to argue, but to share your opinion clearly while still showing respect. That's a fair point, but here's my view. That's a fair point, but here's my view. That's a fair point, but here's my view. Use this when you want to disagree, but still respect the other person's idea. Example. That's a fair point, but here's my view. We need to focus on long-term results. That's a fair point, but here's my view. The timeline may be too short. That's a fair point, but here's my view. We should simplify the process.
I see it slightly differently. I see it slightly differently. I see it slightly differently. Use this to offer a different opinion in a calm and professional way. Example. I see it slightly differently. I think this is a good opportunity. I see it slightly differently. The risk is not that high. I see it slightly differently. We should focus on quality first.
I understand the concern, however. I understand the concern, however. I understand the concern, however. This shows you understand the other person before you disagree. Example. I understand the concern, however, we need to move faster. I understand the concern, however, this is still a strong option. I understand the concern, however, the data supports this decision.
I agree to some extent, but. I agree to some extent, but. I agree to some extent, but. Use this when you partly agree but not completely. Example. I agree to some extent, but we need more data. I agree to some extent, but the cost is too high. I agree to some extent, but we should consider another option.
I think we're missing a key point here. I think we're missing a key point here. I think we're missing a key point here. Use this to bring attention back to something important. I think we're missing a key point here. Customer needs. I think we're missing a key point here. The timeline.
The challenge with that approach is. The challenge with that approach is. The challenge with that approach is. Use this to explain a problem in a clear and professional way. The challenge with that approach is it takes too much time. The challenge with that approach is the cost is too high.
I'm not sure that fully addresses the issue. I'm not sure that fully addresses the issue. I'm not sure that fully addresses the issue. Use this when you think something is incomplete. I'm not sure that fully addresses the issue. The timeline is unclear. I'm not sure that fully addresses the issue. We need more detail.
I think we should look at it from another angle. I think we should look at it from another angle. I think we should look at it from another angle. Use this to suggest a new way of thinking. I think we should look at it from another angle. Focus on the user. I think we should look at it from another angle. Think long term.
Now let's move to the final part, how to close your message clearly and confidently. This is how you leave a strong final impression. So here's the bottom line. So here's the bottom line. So here's the bottom line. Use this to summarize clearly. Example. So here's the bottom line. This is our best option. So here's the bottom line. We should move forward.
To sum up, this is the direction we should take. To sum up, this is the direction we should take. To sum up, this is the direction we should take. Example. To sum up, this is the direction we should take, based on the data.
The key takeaways are. The key takeaways are. The key takeaways are. Example. The key takeaways are focusing on the customer, acting quickly, and keeping things simple.
Let's move ahead with this plan. Let's move ahead with this plan. Let's move ahead with this plan. Use this to reinforce action. Example. Let's move ahead with this plan, starting today. This is the best way forward. This is the best way forward. This is the best way forward. Use this to show confidence in your conclusion. Example. This is the best way forward. It minimizes risk.
Thanks, everyone. Let's take this forward. Thanks, everyone. Let's take this forward. Thanks, everyone. Let's take this forward. Use this to close politely and professionally. Example. Thanks, everyone. Let's take this forward and update soon. Before we finish, here's a simple formula to help you sound more confident in any meeting. Opinion, reason, action. For example, I think this is the right plan because it helps us save time, so we should start now. Simple, clear, and confident.
And now, a quick warning. Try to avoid weak phrases like, I might be wrong. I just think. Maybe we can. These can make your idea sound unsure, even if it's a great idea.
Instead, say, I believe, we should. The best way is, same idea, but much stronger.
These small changes can make a big difference in how you sound. More confident, more clear, more professional. You don't need to use all the sentences we've learned today. Start with just a few. Use them in your next meeting and watch how people start listening more carefully.
Yes, same idea, same person, just better delivery. Now your turn. Write one sentence you'll use in your next meeting in the comments.
And if this video helped you, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us continue creating practical lessons for you.
Good luck in your next meeting.
And we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye for now.